Hello and bonjour, everyone. Welcome back. We're in our 4th season of Follow the Farmers, and we're so excited to see all of you back here today to join us. We are learning all about bison today, so it's a very exciting one. My name is Larissa Peich with Agriculture in the Classroom, Manitoba. And just a reminder, teachers, please share where you're joining from. We want to see what schools you're joining in from, so feel free to put that in the chat. We love to hear from you. Today, we'll be streaming, as always, on both our Agriculture in the Classroom YouTube channel and our Facebook page. Teachers, if you have a YouTube account, be sure to sign into that. It will give you direct access to the comment section to place your questions in there for the Overbys. We will be coming back, as usual, after our farm tour, where you can pepper our farmers with your questions and learn even more about bison. So students, as you're watching the farm tour video, be sure to be thinking about some of those questions that you might have about bison, about the history of Indigenous people and their connection to bison, and write those down and get your teacher to put them in the chat so you can ask the Overbys. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit about our farmers. Ken and Iris Overby, along with their daughter Jillian, run Overby Bison, where they raise 400 bison out near Teulon, Manitoba. Ken and Iris are actually both retired school teachers, which is pretty cool. That's why they're so good at teaching. And for many years have taught full-time and raised and cared for their bison herd at the same time. They're very involved in their community, often opening their doors to 4-H, the University of Manitoba and its students, and of course, all of us here today, because they are so passionate about giving back to their community and sharing their knowledge about bison. And they're so passionate about caring for their herd and providing healthy meat to all of us. So without further ado, we have Ken and Iris here today. Let's welcome them to the chat. Hello, you two.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us to learn a few things about bison.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, you two. We're very excited for today. Teachers and students, like I said, feel free to add questions throughout the farm tour video into the chat. We have Kira on the back end bringing those questions through shortly. But without further ado, Ken and Iris, should we head over to your farm?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Here we go.
Welcome to Overby Bison. I'm Ken Overby. This is my wife Iris and my daughter Jillian.
We're a third-generation farm, and I'm a second-generation bison farmer.
We have 400 bison on our farm, and we are excited to showcase our herd to you over the next few minutes. Bison are a herd animal. They like to live in groups. In this herd right behind us, there are 79 females that will be mamas next year, and there are 4 breeding bulls. Calves are born from mid-April until July. Calves, you'll see when they're born orange, reddish color, and they're a mammal like all other mammals. They nurse all their sustenance, all of their food comes from their mom's milk. And as they start to get a bit older, you'll see some of the calves, they start to change color. They start to get a bit darker and they start to grow little horns. And around that time, they start to drink water, they start to eat grass. And gradually they will eat more and more grass and they'll depend less on milk from mama. Female calves are called heifers, and they are heifers until they have their first calf. When they have their first calf, they then become a cow. And these bison cows can live to 20 years of age, and some bison cows will have 15 or more calves in their lifetime. That's a lot of kids. Male bison are called bulls, and they tend to grow bigger than the cows. Male bison bulls can get up to 2,000 pounds. And 2,000 pounds, that's kind of like the equivalent of about 15 grown men. And that's quite a contrast from when they were born. Like little bison calves are only 30 to 40 pounds when they're born. So they're about the weight of a 5 or 6 year old. So they can grow rapidly and they can grow to be big, large animals. The difference between a female, a cow, and a mature bull, if you look at this cow here, her horns really curve in, her horns are really close, and she's much smaller in size. But if you look at the big bull back here, his horns don't curl quite as much, and he's much bigger. So if you happen to have the opportunity to be close to a bison herd, you'll be able to tell the difference between a cow and a bull. The bison live on these pastures all year. They do not go into barns in the wintertime. They are indigenous to North America, which means that they've been here for thousands of years. And because of their fur and their wool, they can withstand our winters. And they stay nice and warm despite any cold temperatures. As you can see, the bison are still shedding. Bison coat is made up of 2 types of hair. They've got outer guard hairs and inner wool, which keeps them very warm in the wintertime. So what they'll do is they'll shed this coat through the summer, and by November, December, their new winter coat would be in place. You'll also notice that the back end of the bison doesn't have nearly as long a hair. In the summertime, when it gets really hot outside and you may want to go to a splash pad or something, a bison will be out here on the prairie and it helps them cool. They stay cooler with the shorter hair at the back end. As a bison producer, we harvest the sun. The energy from the sun comes to the leaves of the plants, and that combined with the water, the nutrients from the soil, it grows really good, healthy grass. Great for bison to graze. In the wintertime, and after the bison have finished eating this by fall, there won't be any grass left. Our bison will still keep grazing. They will still be eating, but we plant a crop. We plant corn for them, and they graze the corn. When they are done the corn, we will put hay bales out on pastures like this, and they will eat the hay right out here in the wintertime. If, however, there is enough grass under the snow, you'll see their big, powerful front ends with the hump. They are so strong that they are just like an excavator. With their heads, they will swish the snow from side to side and then dive in and come up with a mouthful of grass. Bison will drink 10 to 15 gallons of water during the day in the summertime. And right now we've had a lot of rain, so there's quite a bit of surface water, so they might take some sips from low-lying areas with water. But the majority of the time, they will go to a water trough, which is supplied by a well. They can also go to a water fountain, or in some remote areas, they will be supplied water by a solar pump. Dung beetles love bison poop. They feed on the bison poop. They help break the bison poop down, which then helps the nutrients from the bison poop to go back into the soil. And it acts as great fertilizer, which then helps the grass grow bigger, stronger, and more grass for bison to eat. What also happens on a grassland is, as these plants are growing, they take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. It removes some of that from the atmosphere, and it will store the carbon in the roots of the ground. So bison grazing and grasslands help with climate change. It slows down climate change. An advantage of grasslands, when we have heavy rains like we've just had, the root systems just act like a sponge, and it'll store all this water, and as conditions dry, there is plenty of water in reserve. Grasslands are able to sustain dry periods and droughts really well because of that sponge-like root system that can store so much water. This is a bison wallow, and we just had a rain 2 days ago, and as you can see, it filled up with some water, and that gives a perfect ecosystem for insects to breed and multiply, and that then attracts other species like birds, etc., that will feed on those insects. What you'll also notice after the bison have wallowed, that occasionally they will shed some of their hair. So here's an example of some hair, and birds will then collect this and use it to build their nests. And what bison also do to the countryside and to the pasture is they will graze the grass at varying heights. So some species of birds would prefer to live where the grass is short. Other species would like it where it's longer. Other species of birds would like to build their nests in the shrubs and the bush off to the side. So bison create ecosystems for other species. It's a case of species getting along with each other. Bison, as big as they are extremely athletic, extremely agile, and they can actually move very fast. They can run up to a top speed of 45 to 50 kilometers an hour. That's the speed limit in most towns and cities. And if they were running past your school, they'd be breaking the speed limit. They're also very good swimmers. And so when we make fences we have to ensure that the fence is around the water body or on this side of the water body because they can swim across it. Another part of their athleticism is their ability to jump. They can actually jump quite high. So our bison fences are at a minimum of 5 feet high, just to ensure that they don't go over top of it. Bison is the greatest conservation story in the world. In the late 1800s, there was only just a few hundred of them left due to overhunting and other reasons. Manitoba has played a big part in bison conservation. There were some Manitobans in the late 1800s who gathered up some stray bison and started small herds, giving them a place to live safely and reproduce. And that was part of the start for the conservation of bison. There's now about 500,000 bison in North America. And because of the importance of bison to early Manitoba, we will see a bison on the Manitoba flag. If you're at the Manitoba legislature, you will see 2 big bison statues at the foot of the stairway. And the other thing we have in Manitoba, if a person has done something great for Manitoba, they will be inducted into the Order of the Buffalo Hunt. Bison were very important to First Nations and Métis people in Manitoba and in Western Canada. The bison provided them with food, their hides for shelters, the dung for a heat source. That was a heat source for cooking, etc. Also used every part of the bison. And so not only the meat, but also things like horns that fell off. This could be used for utensils. It could be used for a cup. It could be used for a scoop. The wool, they could braid this together and make ropes out of this. They used the hides for leather processes and leather straps, moccasins, leather clothing. They went on hunting expeditions, and from those hunting expeditions, they made pemmican. They used the bison meat, the fat. They picked saskatoons, raspberries, strawberries, any berries, and mixed that in with the bison meat and made pemmican, which was important to them, important to the fur trade, important to early settlers. Today, we still use all parts of the bison. Obviously, we eat bison meat, but the hides are used for leather. The wool can be used in fabric. It can be mixed with other fabrics from other species for making scarves and mitts and toques.
Bison is a very unique product that is lean, which means it's low in fat, very nutritious. What we like to eat on our farm, we make burgers, we have jerky and steaks. Some of the essential nutrients that bison give our bodies are B vitamins, zinc, and iron. B vitamins for energy.
And zinc is for wound healing and a healthy immune system.
And iron gives us healthy blood. There's a lot of different people that we need on the farm to make it successful. Myself, I am an animal health technician, and I work hand in hand with veterinarians to make sure that we have healthy animals that'll produce healthy meat.
We also are fortunate to have neighbors who help us with haying and getting hay ready for our animals, planting corn. We need truck drivers to deliver feed. We need truck drivers to haul our animals to market. We need mechanics to fix our old tractor. We also utilize nutritionists who formulate our minerals and vitamins for our bison and to produce a healthy, nutrient-rich meat.
We also need people like my dad, who is the main farmer, making sure the husbandry of the animals is properly cared for. They're getting all the nutrients that they need, and that's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job.
Thanks for touring our farm. I hope you've enjoyed today, and I hope you've learned something new about bison.
Thank you two. That was awesome.
Thank you. It was great.
And thank you to Jillian too. I know she couldn't make it today, but I know your daughter's very involved on the farm, so we want to make sure to thank her as well. And it was a pleasure coming out and learning about bison at your farm.
Yeah. Enjoyed having you.
Awesome. So I know questions have been coming through the feed, and I know students are probably anxious to have some of those questions answered, but we do have three to be exact, questions that came in a little bit earlier that we're going to throw over to Ken and Iris here first, and then we will dive into the live stream of questions there. So you ready, Ken and Iris?
We are.
Awesome. Okay. So the first question that we're going to bring in is from Henry, and he's a grade 4 student. And Henry is wondering, how much grass does a bison eat in a day?
Thanks, Henry. That's a good question. Bison eat a lot. A bison cow will eat 20 kilograms of grass in a day, and the bulls, who are much bigger, will eat 30 kilograms of hay in a day. So if you try to equate that, if you have a grocery bag and you only took butter and you put 40 bricks of butter in your grocery bag, that would be about how much grass that a bison would eat in a day.
Wow, that's a lot of grass.
Yeah, good appetites. Yeah.
Very cool. Thanks for the question, Henry. Thanks, Ken. All right, so our next question here is from Jane. Jane's a grade 3 student. And, I guess she's been to the zoo. Jane is wondering, what makes a bison white, like the one at the Assiniboine Zoo?
Oh, good question, Jane. It's white bison are quite rare. However, it's part of their genetic makeup. Just like people, it partly depends on their parents. And, some people have blue eyes, some have brown eyes, some people have straight hair, other people have curly hair. And so it's, a lot of people refer to a white bison as an albino bison. Because it is rare and because it's albino, the white bison has great spiritual significance to First Nations people. First Nations revere the white bison. They think it's phenomenal.
Yeah, interesting. I don't think I knew that. That's very cool. Thanks, Ken. Okay, our last pre-question here, and then we're diving into the live chat. Amos is wondering, he is a grade 6 student. He is wondering, bison are huge, and he's wondering, do bison have any predators?
Thanks, Amos. As Larissa stated, bison are strong. They are fast. However, predators can take a bison down. They tend to take down old or weak bison. That tends to be the ones they take down first. Cows are quite protective. Iris was relating that to me of their calves by forming a circle and warding off or chasing predators away. The main predators of bison would be wolves, bears. Towards the Rockies, the foothills, grizzlies would be a problem. Cougars. Some predators will hunt in packs. And when they hunt in packs, they can take down a stronger animal. So predation is a concern, but it's also part of nature.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thanks, Ken and Iris. All right, we're going to dive in here. All right, so Stacy Post, her class is wondering, how heavy is a bison?
Oh, yeah. Well, it depends on what stage in their life. A baby calf is only 30 to 40 pounds. So it's quite light. At about 10 months of age, they're about 500 pounds. So, 200, a little over 200 kilograms. When they get to be yearlings or almost 2 years old, they can be reaching up to 12 to 13, 1,400 pounds. So, 600 to 700 kilograms.
Wow.
And then the mature breeding bulls, they can reach up to a ton. That's 2,000 pounds. Yeah. Or 1,000 kilograms.
That's amazing. You forget just how large bison can get. Eh?
Yes.
I know, Ken, I feel like this kind of lends to it. I know that you have close by to you a bison skull.
We do. In fact,
From
Iris,
bull.
we have a contrast for you.
Yeah.
Iris,
All
let's
right.
show you the first one.
Okay, so this is
This is, are you explaining it, Iris?
Yeah,
or-
no,
okay.
you go ahead.
This is a female skull, a young female skull. You can see the horns haven't started to curl up yet. So this was probably a 1 or 2 year old female bison.
wow.
Okay, so
Very
that's
neat.
that one.
Okay.
However, to give you a contrast, this.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Look at the
This
size
is
of
That's
from
that.
a
cute.
4-year-old bull.
Holy
Okay,
mackerel.
and, you can see the size. I'm a full-grown man, and you can see it reaches from my chest, almost to my knees,
Wow.
and it's quite heavy. What some people do with these skulls is they actually use them for art. So between the horns and on the forehead area, they might paint, a scene or a picture. So the art community uses a lot of these. I've seen some great work from First Nations and Métis people who, have captured the spiritual significance of bison in the art on some of their skulls.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
But they are massive. So you can see the horns are much wider than I am. And he was only 4 years old. So, there's a potential. A lot of bulls would have a skull bigger than this.
Wow. Very neat. Isn't that neat, students? That shows you just how big a bull can get. And at only 4 years old. So even bigger than that, I'm sure, too. Amazing. Thank you, too. So we have another question here coming in from Carly Hayward's class. And their class is wondering, how old is the oldest bison that you have raised?
I would say around 20 or 21 years.
Oh, okay.
That would be the oldest. But I have heard in the industry that there's some bison that have been older than that.
Interesting. Would you say that a female bison or a male bison have a longer life?
Yeah, female bisons tend to have longer lives.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very neat. Very cool. Thank you. All right. Darcy Mann's class. Are the horns hollow? And this is coming from Miles, a grade 5 student at Homefield Colony. So he's wondering, are the horns hollow?
Oh, hi, Miles.
Oh,
Yeah.
another good
Okay,
question.
really good question. So if Iris brings this skull up, this is the inner part of the horn.
Okay.
And there is a horn cap that usually fits on top of it.
Ah.
So now you can see this is a female.
Yeah.
See how curved that horn is? But as the horn can come off, and that horn is hollow. Okay, so the horn cap is hollow, but inside that was this membrane or horn area, and this is just the cap.
Yeah.
Okay, so the part attached to the skull stays there all the time, and they just shed the outer.
Well, they don't actually shed this. This would be if they had an injury or something to the horn, or in this case, after it has been dead for a while, the horns will release from the inner part.
Did not know that. I am learning something new too. Thanks, Miles, for that question. So you can see how the horns lent so well to being cups or scoops.
Oh, yes. As we had mentioned in the video, it could be a cup. You'd clean this horn up, and it could be a cup. Yeah, there's a variety of uses. In fact, now some of it has been used in art. So this was made by a friend of ours, but in the past, this horn, they would have used this. This is a powder horn. So they would put, in days of old, they would put their gunpowder in here. They'd open this up, put the gunpowder in, and then they'd load their old muskets, their old rifles, and they could pour just a bit out the bottom into the musket.
Very cool.
And then that's the way. So there is one, but this is a decoration now. This is not a working powder horn.
Thanks for clarifying.
It's for us. It's a decoration. It sits on our mantle.
It's very, very neat. Awesome question, students.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys ready for another one here? This is coming from
Okay.
Madison Venter. And Madison is wondering, how long can the bison's horns get?
Okay.
We're throwing them at you today.
On the video, the baby's horns were, quite short. In fact, when a baby bison is born, a calf doesn't have any horns whatsoever. And after a few weeks, you start to see the horns grow longer and longer. And by the time they're a year old, the horns tend to be about that long. Okay. So I'm thinking about 6 inches. And sorry, I should know the conversion, but
okay.
what would that be?
About half a foot. Kids, I think kids know.
Yeah. And then this was an older one, this horn. And so now you can see, if you put a string around here, you can see how long that horn would be. That's that's getting close to 12 inches. Mm-hmm. And then if we look at the big guy.
Yep.
Okay, and Iris, you'll have to help me with this. And I should have moved my chair out of the way. There we go. Now, if you trace how long that horn is.
Okay.
If you start here, yeah.
It's got to be at least 18 inches.
Yeah.
Wow.
And sorry, these caps are still connected on this this skull. They haven't loosened yet to the point where we can take them off.
No.
Right.
Okay, so sorry, students, we can't pull those off. They're still connected.
Very cool. That's awesome. Thanks, you two. Okay, we have another question here for you. This is from Brandy Bissett, and her class is wondering, have you ever been charged by a bison?
Oh, I hope not.
Yeah. We would definitely lose if we were charged by a bison. So there's 2 things that a bison sort of do. It's either flight, they either flee, or fight. And fight would be the charge part.
Yeah.
So we really respect our bison. We give them their space. Mm-hmm. We do not challenge them in any way. No. And we are very careful. There are certain times of the year when they could potentially charge. Right. A mama cow is very protective of her baby. And so the last thing we want to do is when she has a new baby, we do not want to get between a mama cow and her baby, because she will see us as a threat and charge us. And then the other time with males is during the rut, which is the breeding season. Mm-hmm. And during that time, males are very protective of the cow herd. So we do not walk anywhere close to them at that stage.
No, and we're normally in a vehicle, in a farm truck, or in a side-by-side, so that we are protected as well.
Yeah.
Right.
But the big thing is respect. Like bison is an iconic species. We know they're big, they're strong, and it's just to respect them.
Yep.
And for the most part, they respect us.
Yes.
That's great. Good question, Brandy's class. All right, so we have another one here. This is from Zayden. Zayden's a grade 5 student. And Zayden is wondering, are there different breeds of bison or various colors of bison?
Another good question. You sure see that in cattle, but with bison, other than the albino or the white bison, the mature bisons are that brown, black color. Mm-hmm. But there are 2 subspecies of bison in Canada, in North America. There's the plains bison, which was found more on the great open northern plains. Okay. And they tend to have a big covering at the front. They're able to face the blizzards because they have very little bush in that area. The other subspecies is a wood bison, which tended to be found more in northern regions and more through bush and stuff. They're found as far north as Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories.
Interesting. Okay.
Thanks,
Very
Aiden.
cool. Good questions, Aiden. I think we have some more to bring in here. All right. So this is from Tammy DeVries. And Tammy is wondering, does bison meat taste better than beef or pork?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question, but we really enjoy bison meat. Bison is like a good source of protein. It is a nutritionally dense meat with a lot of vitamins and protein in it. And you get lots of good food out of every bite of bison meat.
Good question, Tammy. Oh, another one right away. This is from Scott and Lex Stephenson from Jack in their class, grade 5 student. How much meat would you get from a bison? Ooh, that's a tough question.
Yeah. Thanks, Jack. Okay. Typically, when our bison bulls, when they are harvested, they call it hot hanging weight. They're about 700 pounds, but that includes some bone. So we'll take about 2/3 of that.
Okay.
So about 440, 460 pounds of actual meat. So about, what is that, 300 kilograms of actual burger steaks and roasts, actual meat you can eat. Yeah.
Wow. So you need a lot of freezer space and you'd be eating well for probably a few years.
That's correct. Yes.
Good question, Jack. All right. So how are you two doing? We have more coming in here. So we're going to keep peppering you with them while we have the time. So this is from Kayla Turner's class. And they are wondering, what is the most rewarding part of raising bison?
Oh, it's just, to me, the most rewarding part is going out in an early morning, late evening, or actually any time of day and just driving through the herd and just watching them. They're such an iconic species. I just love looking at them. Mm-hmm. I just love looking at them. I love working with them. We have a saying that we can lead a bison wherever a bison wants to go to. And I just love doing that with them. So the way we lead them is through their stomachs. It's how, we give them treats. And so they go to either better pasture or to better grass, and they follow us. To me, that's the rewarding part.
I bet.
And I guess a follow-up to that is, it's a species that was near extinction. Mm-hmm. And now we are helping to, bring this species back. So as the video said, there's, 450 to 500,000 bison, 500,000 bison. So that is rewarding, to be working with nature and having a species recover.
Yeah. And it's also nice to see a happy farmer go out to work in the morning.
Definitely. Which you both seem to be, and Jillian too, being out on your farm, it was quite inspiring to see how passionate you are about raising your bison and being out in the field with them. It was magical. It was very, very neat. So I think we have a few more questions. So we will bring a few more in. We're getting close to time here, but Brooks, grade 4 student, is wondering, how often do bison have babies?
Bison cows have a baby every year. Generally, it's only one baby. There's the occasional twin.
Okay.
But generally, it's one baby calf a year.
Okay. Okay.
And as we saw in the video, it could be up to 15 babies in its lifetime.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. And how long is a mama pregnant for with the babies? How long does she carry the baby for?
Exactly 270 days.
Okay.
So the 9 months, very much like people. And then they usually rebreed and they have a baby 12 months later.
Very neat. Okay, I think we have time for maybe a couple more questions. So this is from Maya, a grade 5 student. And Maya is wondering, do mothers ever abandon a calf?
Okay, very rarely. The only time I've seen abandonment or heard of a mama cow abandoning her calf is if she happens to have twins.
Okay.
They have multiple birth, and she loses track of one of them.
Yeah.
One of the little calves just didn't keep up. And so she looks to her side, oh, there's a baby there, forgetting that she had twins. So that tends to be the only time I'm aware of a mama leaving her calf. Bison cows are extremely great mothers. They're very protective of those little bundles.
Very neat. Great answer. Thanks, Maya. Okay, we have another one here. This is from Stuart Ackerley. Hi, Stuart. And Stuart is wondering, his class is wondering, do you name your bison?
We only name a few. And most of the time, if you saw in the video, they will have dangle tags in their ears with a number.
Yeah.
And so each number is unique to a bison and based on the color of the tag. So most of the time, our bison naming goes by numbers. But we occasionally will name our bulls just because they stick out from everybody else.
Yeah. Very, very neat. Great question. I hear that there's so many questions in the chat, and I'm sorry we can't get to them all, but let's squeeze our time here and let's take two more. Kira, do we have two more to bring in? All right, we do. Okay, so this is from Ryder, a grade 5 student. And Ryder is wondering, do the male bison ever fight one another?
They sure do, yes. Not young ones. Young ones tend not to fight very much, but the mature bison bulls will fight a lot, especially during the rut.
Okay.
In fact, the big skull I was showing you earlier,
yeah,
that poor bull died because of a fight.
Really?
Another bison bull killed him. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yes, it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. And occasionally we will see male bison or bison bulls who are slightly injured because of fighting. So it's a natural process. Okay. It's partly natural selection. The strongest male survives.
Yeah. Great question, Ryder. Okay, let's bring in one more here. So this is from Isla and Hadley, grade 4 students. When did you start raising bison?
Oh, great question. 30 years ago, 1994. Yeah, it was when we took delivery on our first 5 yearling bison heifers.
Wow. And from 5, and probably a bull, I'm sure you had there too.
There was a bull, yes.
Up to 400 now. Amazing.
Up to 400, yeah.
Wow. Have you ever gone over 400, or is 400 kind of where you tried to keep? Yeah. Okay.
We have. Yes. In about 2018, we were closer to 500, but much of North America has been in a drought situation in 2019, 2021. So to manage our grasslands better, we reduced the number of animals.
Okay.
So that's why we're at 400 now instead of 500.
Makes sense. Great question, Isla and Hadley. Kira, do we have time for one more? I think I can be really fast at the end here. If not, that's okay. I'm putting her on the spot. Oh, here we go. Okay, last question, and then we'll wrap things up here. So this is from Isabella. Yeah. And Isabella is wondering, how does a bison's fur change color?
Okay. Basically, it's when the calf is born, it's an orange or a red. And as it starts to grow and mature, it starts to change color. And I think that baby calf orange red color is for camouflage. So predators can't see it as easily on the grassland. And then, as it gets older, the color does darken. I think the white bison doesn't have the same change in color.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
Very neat. And I guess as their fur matures and grows thicker, then that also deepens that color that they get as an adult, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like here's an example of some bison fur. And, you see the outer guard hair, and you'll see some of this really, really fine wool Bison do not need shelter in the wintertime. It can be the coldest day, they will face the wind because they're so well protected in their coats.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ken and Iris. I wish we could keep taking questions forever. Students, if we missed some of your questions and you really want to know the answer, feel free to email them directly to me at larissa@ait.me.ca. And I'm sure, Ken, I'm putting you on the spot, and Iris, that maybe if I emailed them to you, you'd answer them and I can send them back to the teacher. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So thank you, Ken and Iris, so much for bringing us to your farm. Teachers, I want to just share with you a little bit about some of the neat things that we have for you to do with your classrooms, in addition to this amazing farm tour video. Be sure to head over to your program dashboard page under the Follow the Farmers area. There we have a complete teacher guide for you, and your students have the opportunity to dive into an art activity where they will be creating a bison habitat out of natural and upcycled materials. They will have the chance to learn more about the traditional uses of bison by Indigenous people. And there's also a fun bison buzzword crossword that they can take on. Teachers, there is always a recording of our events. So we will be putting up on your dashboard a recording of today's event with the full Q&A for you to access for what works best for you in your classrooms. That, as well as the activities, will be up on your dashboard to use. And if you want to explore bison even further, we have new fact sheets and an e-learning module as part of our Foundations of Manitoba Agriculture Virtual Resource Hub. You can find that on your teacher dashboard as well under the resource library area. And if you want to stay in the know, we have our teacher e-news. So that's a great opportunity to learn about our programs and any new resources that we have. So be sure to sign up for that. You can do so by going to our website, www.aitc.mb.ca. Thank you again to Penner Farm Services. Without them, making these videos would not be possible. So thank you for your sponsorship. And a big, big thank you to you, Ken and Iris, and to Jillian as well for bringing us onto your farm. I still refer to that day of coming out to your farm and telling my family and friends about it. And I know that all the students on this stream learned a lot, as well as the teachers. And we just thank you for your time and your knowledge and your passion.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So students, that's a wrap. We're coming back in the new year, January 15th at 1:15 p.m. to learn from our corn farmer, Brent Oswald. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope you have fun with all those bison activities. Have a great day, everyone.